Manchester United 4, FC Bournemouth 1. Manchester United were utterly dominant, and there was a lot of individual plays from the likes of Dorgu and Bruno Fernandes and lots more. So guys, let's dive into this video together. So one of our first observations is not actually going to be tactics or any kind of plays. It's actually going to be talking about the fitness of the team. Remember when I made the video of what you actually learned from the game against Leeds, our very first preseason game, I actually emphasized on the fact that the fitness level of the team is actually not up there. So if you look at the last two preseason games Manchester United has played, you are going to find out that the fitness level of the team is actually going up. The intensity at which Manchester United is playing at is very, very wonderful, and it's something that we have to give Ruben Amorim accolades for, because Manchester United is playing at a very high level. Manchester United is playing at a very high intensity, and with Manchester United playing one game a week next season is going to be very sustainable, because Manchester United will be able to be playing with high intensity. We are going to be recovering well. We're going to be playing one game a week next season, so probably we are going to be having less recovery sections. We are going to be having more training sections. So Manchester United will be tasked with playing with more intensity next season, and I'm actually very happy that we don't even make European football, because this is going to help us to fix a lot of problems in the team. So that's probably one of the first observations. Our fitness level is beginning to go high. We're beginning to play with more intensity, and we're going to be giving Ruben Amorim more accolades, because in the team that played this day, there was no new signing. This was practically the team that actually finished 15th position last season, and they were basically outrun by every team that we played in the Premier League last season. But in our game yesterday, we showed a lot of signs of improvement. So this is one of the positives to take from the game of last night. Sorry guys for interrupting this video. I actually want to beg you guys for a favor, and I want to actually hit 1k subscribers before the end of August. I want you guys to subscribe to Tactical Trafford. Over 90% of the viewers of Tactical Trafford actually have not subscribed to this channel. They are not subscribers, and they keep streaming my video. I would like you guys to hit that subscribe button so that we can be able to grow as a community. So our very second observation is actually the high positions of the fullback. You're going to notice like Dorgu and Dalot actually held a very high position in the pitch, and this caused Bournemouth's fullback to actually stay back, and actually caused Bournemouth to maintain their back four shape, and this actually made them not be able to come out to play. And the wingers of Bournemouth also maintained a very high position, and this actually created a lot of large spaces that caused the two tens, Mason Mount and Amad Diallo, to actually drop deep, to operate centrally, to actually drop in those half spaces, to operate in those half spaces, to create more transitional moment, to create more balls in behind for Rasmus Højlund to actually run the channel. And this actually made us to have a lot of central domination. We actually knew that last season Manchester United was actually finding it hard to actually progress through the middle. We are always going through the wing backs. We could not progress through the middle of the pitch. But actually last night, based on the spaces that were left by the wingers and the fullbacks of Bournemouth, Manchester United actually exploited it, and we actually had a lot of central domination. We controlled possession a lot. There was a lot of transitional moments, 1-2 play from the middle of the pitch. But one of the issues I have is that most of the times we don't hold possession enough, like for a longer period of the game. Manchester United actually tends to, always want to be fast on the transition. We always want to be quick to make decisions, especially from Casemiro. He had so many misplaced passes, and Bruno Fernandes also had like a few those passes, and these are things I feel that Manchester United is actually supposed to work on, because whenever we have that central domination, whenever we are able to force the opposition team to create those half spaces for us, we are actually supposed to use those moments very well. We are supposed to keep possession very well, because Ruben Amorim also emphasizes on this topic of always keeping the possession, being more patient, and manipulating the ball more longer than expected. So these are things that actually I feel that Manchester United is going to work on. But because of the high positions of the fullback, it has caused a lot of half spaces in the opposition half, and Manchester United actually exploited it, and that was probably how most of our goals came last night. So the third observation I'm going to be talking about is actually the pressing structure of Ruben Amorim. You guys know that the criticism I've had of Ruben Amorim is actually his rigidness. He was a coach last season that was actually very rigid when it comes to the pressing structure and the overall structure of Manchester United. But in this season, we are beginning to see a lot of flexibility. Manchester United were pressing in a 4-4-2 shape, and this actually helps us to create a form of overload, and helps to match up the overload of the opposition. Because if you see Manchester United most of the time last season, we were short of one man when it came to our pressing, but this season you could see that Ruben Amorim is pressing in the 4-4-2 shape, and this actually helps us to make that one man not to be missing in the press. It makes us be able to accommodate the opposition press. It helps us to accommodate the structure of the opposition, and this pressing structure is something that I feel that Ruben Amorim should continue with. And you could see in the game most of the times whereby he switched back to using the 3-5-2 press, it did not actually work. But when he was using the 4-4-2 press, there was like an accommodation. Bournemouth was finding it very hard to be able to beat our press and actually proceed with the ball through the middle or through the side of the pitch. So one of the things we're also going to be talking about is the pentagon shape of Manchester United. Ruben Amorim is a coach that actually likes to create a pentagon shape or a pentagon structure on both sides of the pitch, and that pentagon structure actually likes to create like a 4-against-3 kind of structure on both sides of the pitch, and this helps to properly connect passing circuit. This pentagon shape likes to, it tries to create an overload on both sides of the pitch, and this was actually making it difficult for Bournemouth to get a hold of Manchester United because there was pentagon on both parts of the pitch. Manchester United was connecting the passing circuit very well, so it was very hard for Bournemouth to be able to get a hold of Manchester United. And based on the half spaces that was being created between the wingers of Bournemouth and the fullbacks of Bournemouth, so there was a lot of room for Manchester United to actually progress in this pentagon shape. It was actually very good for us to connect, means to make that 1-2 passes, those swift passes, those swift turn, and with the help of Ahmad, Diego Dalot, Euro, the pentagon shape on the right side was actually good. Going over to the left side, you are going to find out that Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Shaw and Dorgu was actually playing well in those pentagon and in those half spaces. So I would like Ruben Amorim to actually continue with this pentagon structure because it helps to paralyze the opponent, and you could see how this pentagon shape and this pentagon structure was actually crucial for Manchester United dominating centrally and dominating FC Bournemouth in the game. So the final thing we are going to be talking about is actually the problems that we faced yesterday. One of the problems is still in our build-up phase. Remember in the last video I made about the build-up of Ruben Amorim, in one of the strategies of the building up, Manchester United, when they were building up with the two central backs, the central back should be looking to play into those half spaces, play into those channels, and use the wing back as a decoy. Euro was doing that absolutely well. He was not looking to pass to Amad Diallo or Diego Dalot. He was actually looking to use them as a decoy and play into those half spaces. But as you may have it, most of the times the Amad Diallo and the midfielder who was actually there, which was Casemiro and Rasmus Højlund, they were not creating that space in that channel. They were not actually dropping into those channels to receive those spaces. And mind you, most of the passes that Euro actually laid this day was actually not correct. Most of his passes was actually most of them were too forward, most of them were too short, and most of them were being overhit. But at the end of the day, he was actually playing to the instruction of the build-up play. But most of the problems you have most of the time was that nobody was dropping into those half spaces, nobody was dropping into those channels to receive the ball. I actually think that this is something that Manchester United will be able to improve on. And Ruben Amorim also talks about being patient in the build-up. If you look at the build-up, most of the time Tom Heaton was actually very wasteful in the build-up. He was a bit wasteful. He was wasting most of the balls instead of being patient, recycling with the central backs, drawing the press of the opposition. This is something that I feel that Manchester United is supposed to work on, especially when we are going to be playing a team like Arsenal in our first game in the Premier League, which is a very high pressing team. We need to be patient, we need to be comfortable on the ball, we need to invite them on the press, we need to let them to press us, and then we can be able to play cleanly, and then there should be options in those channels to receive those passes. And talking about the individuals, the most standard performer of yesterday was actually Patrick Dorgu. He was actually elite, had 1 goal and 1 assist. He was making runs very well. His decision making is beginning to improve. Last season he was defending very well, he was making attacking runs, but his decision making was actually not good. But this season you're beginning to see more of Patrick Dorgu. We are beginning to see that flair. We're beginning to see that decision making is beginning to come alive. He's beginning to score, he's beginning to assist, and I hope that he's going to translate that into the Premier League. And so guys, this is what we actually learned from the game against Bournemouth FC. And if you want to give me contribute to what you actually noticed from the game, or what you actually learned from the game. I want you guys to give me your thoughts on the comment section. I want you guys to like, to share, to subscribe to Tactical Trafford, as more video will be coming out in this channel concerning everything concerning Manchester United. So guys, see you in my next video. Ciao.